close to Christmas. Now I want to show you something before I get started on my video. And it's all this canning that I've been meaning to show you now for about a year. But before I do that, I just want to do a shout out to L_Cash, Lloyd Cash. So Lloyd has been a very supportive viewer of mine, long time viewer, and always nice to hear from Lloyd, so he wanted a shout out. He's had one before, probably a couple of them, but I don't mind giving shout outs repeatedly to the same people. I think that's great. So if anybody wants a shout out, just hit me up and I'll give you a shout out. So big shout out to Lloyd and a big shout out to the rest of you as well, okay? So now, about a year ago at least, I think when I first started my channel back in 2022, I was talking about the garden that Linda and I have, and that we do a lot of canning, or try to anyway. It depends on how abundant our trees are in our garden and whatever. So a lot of people asked to see the results of our canning, and I kept saying I would. I kept forgetting whatever. So anyways, here it is. I just want to say this past year was one of the driest years we've had ever. It was just unbelievable. The lawns don't normally turn brown until, halfway through July or August. I think they were brown like around May or June. There was just no water at all. We were on water restrictions very early this year. So anyway, and also the year before we had this major heat wave. They called it a heat dome. I love these new terms like atmospheric river and heat domes, but it was just blistering hot. The town of Lytton, which is in British Columbia, it's in the interior, was one of the hottest places on the planet that year. It was the hottest in the northern hemisphere. It was really, really hot. But so our fruit trees the last couple of years didn't do that well, but fortunately a lot of this stuff was canned about 3 years ago or longer. So the pears, that's our pears right there. So I never knew how to can until Linda showed me, and she did the whole procedure. It's funny because my mom canned everything. She canned beans, meatballs, spiced apples, you name it. We always had either peaches or pears for dessert at lunchtime or something like that. She even canned plums, and whatever, but she canned a lot of stuff. So anyways, but I never learned how to can until Linda showed me, and you gotta wait for these lids to pop, and then they've sealed themselves. So these are off the pear tree. Now the pear tree this year did nothing. It was just way too dry. And the same with the peaches. These peaches were not off our tree. We do have a peach tree. We call it our overachiever because this little tiny tree, it yields about maybe 8 or 10 peaches, and it's like my little Christmas tree. It's this tiny little tree, so we call it the overachiever tree because this tiny little tree yields these big peaches, and it's almost bending over with all the weight. It's funny, but no, we bought these peaches. They come from an area called the Okanagan in the interior of British Columbia, which is very, very plentiful in fruit. A lot of wine comes from there. A lot of Canadian wine comes from that area. But everything else, pickles. We got these cucumbers, and we made pickles, and so that's really cool. I never made pickles before. My mom used to make pickles all the time too. And Linda, she puts grape leaves in there. It helps preserve the crunch. That's where I'm looking for preserve. Helps preserve the crunch of the pickles. So it's very nice. And we put them in the washing machine at first on the spin cycle just for a couple minutes, and it cleans them off really good. It's amazing. I thought just joking when she suggested that, but it works really good. So we canned all these little cucumbers, turned them into pickles. Beans, those are from the garden. Yeah, there's our canned beans from the garden. And tomatoes from our garden, right there. Those are tomatoes from our garden. And also salsa. We make salsa now. Of course, the salsa we had to buy some of the ingredients. Tomatoes we grew ourselves. We had a lot of tomatoes, but we did have to buy some peppers. But we have this pepper tree that somebody gave us, and whew, they ever hot. These banana peppers. Last summer, I was scraping the stuff out. Silly me. I got a pepper burn here. mess, and my hands were like lobsters for about 4 or 5 hours. I kept putting them in cold water, but so this time I thought, well, there's only a few peppers. I'll just scrape them out my thumb. And at one point I touched my eye, and then it started to hurt, so I rubbed it even more. Well, that was stupid. I mean, I was like blinded for about 45 minutes, just stinging away. I thought I might have to go to the hospital. That's how bad it was. But fortunately, I just kept rinsing with cold water, just rinsing, and I had to keep my eye open to get that pepper out of there. So, anyways, this sauce was actually made a couple of years ago. But so that's that anyway. So no, the garden, because we live on Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island is basically just a bigger rock. Now, I mean, a lot of people have beautiful gardens. The first house we bought, my ex and I had a beautiful garden because the people owned it before. They had, or a couple of years before that. No, it was the people before them actually who had initially put the garden in. They put in about 15 inches of topsoil, and of course it all just sort of sank down, so they have this beautiful topsoil in there. And we kept rotating all the time, but depending on where you want to plant a garden, sometimes it's just hard as a rock. So we built some raised beds. So we have some raised beds in Linda's backyard there, in our backyard, and put them in there. And she's the gardener in the family. So anyways, that's where all that stuff is. So we grew strawberries, tomatoes. We still have some parsley out there, some chives and stuff like that, and lots of stuff. A lot of tomatoes, never a shortage of tomatoes. Carrots are about maybe like that. Back in Saskatchewan, carrots were huge and long because the soil was just so soft. You could dig basements back there for your houses, but out here it's like, the basements are all like above ground, so your first floor is actually your second floor, that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna set these aside over here, sort of get them out of the way. Try not to make too much noise, and I'm going to see if that stays out of the way. I got my Santa hat on. I hear Christmas carols on the radio now. Lots of houses are decorated. When I take Marcy the dog for a walk, there's houses decorated everywhere. So I got some sushi, or California rolls, and people want me to do a video like this for a long time. And I've got something you've seen before. I never made this particular one on my cooking channel, but I do make this on my cooking channel. I did this on my cooking channel, but just not this particular one. I had to buy this one, but this is easy to make. Like, if you check out my cooking channel, I'll post a link below. It's easy peasy. It's really easy. So I got some California rolls, some water, and I've got that for dessert. So I'm just gonna dig in. I put my soy sauce on already. I got some wasabi here. I wish I had chopsticks. My ex and my daughter, they love sushi. So like I said, Linda's really the gardener in the family. The flower beds she's created are amazing. And her vegetable garden is pretty good. Like I said, I built all the raised beds. And, we got a bunch of soil, several yards of soil, and put it in there. And that was a couple of years ago. We did that in April of 2000 and maybe 19, I think, or 2019, I think. And the garden has produced very well. Now, last spring, before we planted, we had one of the big trees taken down because it was blocking all the sunlight. sounds I made. Now, I finally got a shock mount for my microphone. Now, a lot of people said, well, you don't need a shock mount, just don't bang your microphone. Well, up until now I had it attached to a chair. If you look at my videos, you know I see a chair sitting over here. And I have my microphone, it's like a boom stand, attached to the chair, so it was separate from my table. So if I banged my table, it didn't reverberate. But sometimes I turn around and accidentally hit it, And the thing is I wanted to get that chair out of there because it's kind of made everything so crowded in here, Somebody honked their horn. Now I put a speaker stand right here for now, just so I could have my little tree there, so you can see that. I want you to see my little tree. But I did some video tests for the sound, and the shock mount works very well. Very well. I'm very happy with it. That ginger. Oops. Say it, don't spray it. That ginger and the wasabi is so good. So, like I said, it's getting more Christmassy all the time out there. I noticed it starts earlier and earlier. One thing I noticed, now maybe it's just my area or just my imagination, but in 2020, Christmas of 2020, I think, the pandemic kind of made people maybe decide they wanted to have a little bit more joy because there was so much restrictions, if you remember that. All the restrictions and all the chaos that was going on and uncertainty. And people that I noticed that year put up their decorations earlier and much more extravagant. People that didn't decorate before were decorating. I'm talking about outside lights and displays and stuff. And that seemed to continue on. Now, for the first time, Linda and I have entertained the idea of a fake Christmas tree. I'll get to that in a minute. My parents bought their first fake Christmas tree back in the 60s. It was basically a broom handle with pipe cleaners. Pretty much. I gotta tell you something funny before I continue. yes, to respond to all of them may take me a few days, but I eventually get to them. And I'm still getting, well wishes for Thanksgiving and this kind of thing. And I mentioned that in Canada, we celebrate Thanksgiving in October, which we do. And one of my viewers was saying that this person said that they were alone over Thanksgiving. They had, and they said that it was nice to watch my video and that sort of thing. And they said, since you have Thanksgiving a month earlier, when do you celebrate Christmas? I know they were just kidding, but it was just so hilarious. The way this person worded it, it was perfect. I mean, I was sitting there at my computer and I'm by myself and I laughed out loud. It was so funny. I didn't know that person was joking, but it was so funny. I love my viewers. But anyways, getting back to the Christmas tree thing. Linda always said she'd never have a fake Christmas tree. No, my parents had one back in the 60s, and they, sort of switched back and forth because the ones back then were terrible. Of course, they got better. Now you walk into some of these stores, you see some of these trees, and they're beautiful, Some of them are a little too much, Like, that Merry Christmas Charlie Brown Christmas special that comes on. They really make fun of the fake Christmas trees, Lucy thinks they're great, but, So, they have come a long way. And when I was married, we said we'd never get a fake Christmas tree. But eventually we did. And it was quite nice. No, Linda always said you never get a fake tree, but lately they make it very expensive. Now we go to this tree farm. There's quite a few tree farms around here, but this one that's very popular that we go to, they had like I mentioned that drought a couple of years ago. Well, that really messed up their business, really knocked the stuffing out of their business, because they lost a lot of trees. Just couldn't water them. The rain they were counting on never came. That ginger wasabi is perfect for this for these California rolls. It's really nice. So the price of trees already went up. I wouldn't say there's a shortage, but they've just increased in price. And this one place we went to, it was a nursery, and this is maybe a little more than a week ago. We said, I see you got your trees in, and Lee said, yeah. And they just got some off the truck, and Linda says, how much are they? And she says, well, they start around $100. I thought, oh my gosh. I have to tell you something. Going back about 30-some years, we'd go to a Christmas tree lot. I mean, even 7-Eleven sold Christmas trees. And we'd go down to the local co-op or whatever store. A lot of places sold trees. And your average tree back then was maybe, what, $12. You'd get some for maybe $8, This one year they had these cultured Christmas trees. They were cultured, trimmed beautifully. $20. I'd never spent $20 on a tree in my life. So I thought, you know what? I want this to be a really nice Christmas. My kids loved Christmas and they loved the trees, you know. So I said, okay, I'll spend $20 on this Christmas tree. It almost killed me to do it because that was a lot of money back then. Brought it home. Beautiful tree. I remember my parents came over to look at it. My sister came over to look at it. The neighbors. It was just a beautiful, beautiful tree. It was cut perfectly. There wasn't a gap anywhere. It was even all the way around. And what we started doing back then was we didn't have a decent tree stand. And even when we did, the cat would climb up the inside of the tree and knock it over. Or if you sit there eating dinner or something, it's crash, bang, you know, the cat goes flying down the hallway. And so anyway, we started hanging it from the ceiling. Just tie a rope around the very top. And we used to green rope so you couldn't really tell. Had to look up there. Make sure you got right in the 2x4. Or whatever. And we would suspend the tree from the ceiling and it would be off the ground by about that much. It would still be in a stand so you could water it, you know, obviously, or a bucket or something. But it was suspended from the ceiling. And it was cool because when it came to decorating, you put the lights on and you just spin the tree around like that and decorate it. And the rest of the time it just hung there. And we did that for years and years and years. Worked great. They don't give enough wasabi and ginger. So, this cultured Christmas tree, back in those days, didn't take a lot of pictures, but we had a video camera. You know, it's kind of grainy because it was low light, we're decorating and, you know, that sort of thing. But my kids used to just love that. That was such a big highlight. Just, we'd bring the tree home, saw about an inch and a half off the bottom, whatever. Leave it in the basement for, you know, usually a day or so, just kind of dry it out a bit, because usually, you know, if it's raining, whatever, they're wet and blah, blah, blah. I would bring it upstairs, and the smell, that's one thing you can't replace, is the smell of a Christmas tree. When you walk in, it just smells so nice. Now, with the price of trees the way they are, by the time you buy an artificial one, it pays for itself after a couple of years. This tree farm we go to, they give you a saw, and you just saw down your own tree. They got all kinds of ones. They got this, you know, Norway, this, and you know, Canadian trees and different types of trees from, you know, different types from different countries, and lots of different trees, but at different prices. But the whole idea is they give you a little bow saw and you saw it on your own. And then they give you some garland and some hot chocolate or chocolate candies. They really make it a nice special event. And the place is packed, especially on the weekends. You know, around the middle of December on the weekend, wow, the cars and trucks are lined up. As you pull in, people are pulling out, they got a tree on top of the roof of their car, you know. But, yeah, it's kind of cool. But then again, the downside to real trees, a lot of needles all over the place. And that's good. Now, I said that too. And like I said, my ex and I bought a fake tree. And we had that up until we broke up, of course. And I had it for a while. Then I donated it to the care home where I used to work. Because they had lots of trees. And I knew I wouldn't be using it. You know, because for, a number of years I was living alone. I didn't see a point in setting up a tree in in my apartment or whatever. It didn't make sense. Because Christmas Eve we always gather at my mom's house anyway. But anyways, so I gotta have a bite of this. So I said I'd never have a fake tree, but they're not that bad. They don't have the nice smell, but some of them look very good if you get like a realistic looking one, And you just put away. My mom basically just leaves hers decorated. Doesn't even put it in a box, just slides it into in the corner of the just 3-bedroom rancher. Just I think she puts it in a closet out in the garage or something, but most of them come pre-lit nowadays. Now when I make this thing on my cooking channel, I don't put Smarties on it. Or any candies or nothing. I think for Christmas this year when I make this, I'm going to put coconut in it though. There's two very easy desserts on my cooking channel. It's peanut butter marshmallow square. And the peanut butter bar, the one that tastes like Reese's peanut butter cups, that one. Like I said, you could train a monkey to make them. I can't believe how fast the time goes. Every time I turn around, it's Christmas again. Now, last year, we had a white Christmas. First time in a long time. It's very common to get snow before and after. A lot of times we'll get snow in maybe November, or we'll get snow in January, February. Never lasts very long. Growing up in Saskatchewan, we always had a white Christmas. It would snow we quite often had snow by Halloween. But it would always snow for sure in November. It just stayed. It was so cold it couldn't melt. I was at the dollar store this morning. Man, they got one big long aisle just packed full of stuff. And then even more, here and there, like great big giant bulbs for outside. But yeah, we got the lights up on the house there about a week and a half ago. No, it was a week ago. Yeah. Well, whatever it was. By the time you watch this video, it'll be about 2 weeks. But anyways, we had them up sometime around, just, I don't know, maybe around little bit more than halfway through November because it was a beautiful sunny day. It was on a Sunday. We thought, why not? And then yesterday, Linda went out and decorated one of the big trees. She hangs those big giant bulbs. I was just talking about, not bulbs, but balls. You know, like ornaments. Hangs those, and then we got some icicles out front that you turn on. Her grandkids really like that kind of stuff. I keep thinking every Christmas, this might be my mom's last Christmas. She's very, very old and feeble, very frail now. So I'll be doing Christmas dinner, but you know, in the past years I always went over, put the turkey in and lifted it out and that sort of thing, but and she'd even prepare a lot of the veg and whatever, but she can't even do that now. So we'll see how that goes. And nobody loved Christmas more than my mom. And she's not that excited about it anymore. The one thing I miss is the big Christmases we used to have when I was a kid and when my kids were little. I mean, there'd be me and my mom and dad, my two sisters, my ex, our three kids, my sister's two kids, my brother, his two kids. And sometimes I had two sisters that lived out of town. One still lives in Saskatchewan. She passed away now, but she would come out, or some of my aunts would come out, you know, or cousins, whatever. We always had these big, huge Christmases. It was always really nice, you know. I miss that. I videotaped everything back then. I used to videotape all the Christmases. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I really miss the Christmas Day when I was married and my kids were little, because we never went anywhere Christmas Day. We just stayed home. People were welcome to drop in and visit. But it was just a pajama day. You know, I had Christmas carols playing all day. The kids would be playing with their new video games. There'd be a big spread of my ex and I would just cover the table with food, you know, like just finger food, you know. And people would drop in, have a bite to eat, have a drink. My daughter had a friend. Traditionally, her and her family every year would go see a movie on Christmas Day. And a lot of movies are released on Christmas Day. My buddy John was alone last Christmas. His son was there for a while. And because he split up from his wife there a couple of years ago now. And the Christmas before, he went over to the mainland to visit his relatives. And then last year, he was by himself. And this year, he's talking about being by himself. So I thought, I'm going to have him over for Christmas. I don't think anybody should be by themselves for Christmas. I hope that never happens to me. I think it'd be kind of sad. That's a cute little tray, you know. Yeah, that was actually pretty good. Those California rolls are good. I never, ever order stuff like that. When I go to a restaurant, I never, ever order sushi or California rolls, whatever you call them. The only time I eat that is if You know, it's provided for me. Somebody gives me somewhere. It's sitting there. You know, you go to somebody's house and there's food all over the place. You know, like a potluck or something. But I've never in my whole life ever ordered sushi. That's the first time I've ever bought sushi for myself. Do you see what I do for you people? Do you see that? I only do it because I love you all. And on that note, I got lots more videos coming up. I got one coming up. It's not really a Christmas video. It's one of those memorable event type things. I did one at JFK recently. So hopefully it's not too depressing for this time of year, but it's timely and you'll see why. So I'll be doing that. And it's good. You know, I'll try and make it as lighthearted as possible for the most part, but anyways, people like those longer videos, they tell me. And this will be a bit of a longer one. Excuse me. So anyways, my friends, there's my video. I hope you're all doing well. And you know, when it comes to shoutouts, I have problems sometimes when I look at a person's name. I know I mispronounce a lot of them, and I apologize for that. So if you're concerned I might do that, just give me like your real first name or something, you know, or maybe sound it up for me, you know, like, I don't know, but I don't like to mispronounce anyone's name, and I know I've done that in the past. And then some when I look at them, because it's all one word, and then when I actually look at it, I can see, oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay, that makes sense, you know. If you want a shout out, hit me up. I'll gladly give you a shout out as many times as you want. I don't mind at all. Keep those comments coming in. I think right now I'm gonna eat some peaches. I always think of that album by the Allman Brothers, Eat a Peach. I believe one of the Allman Brothers was hit by a peach truck on his motorcycle. I think that's why they called it that. I could be wrong, but somebody told me that. So in the meantime, you take care, my friends. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and I hope you're getting in the Christmas spirit, okay? We'll see you later, okay? Bye now.